My parents threw me out at 16 because my sister framed me for "Hey Reddit." When I was 16, my family kicked me out because of something my sister did. Nobody believed me, and I had to fight just to survive. What happened after changed everything. I, Stephanie, 17, female, 16 at the time, all this happened. And if you asked my family to describe me back then, they'd probably just say the problem. My dad was one of those guys who thought respect was a one-way street. You give it to him, no questions asked, or you get the belt of his voice, and sometimes his actual belt. My mom followed his lead like it was gospel. And then there was Lily, my sister, 2 years younger and somehow the perfect child. She could set the kitchen on fire trying to make popcorn, and my parents would call it a learning experience. I forget to mow the lawn once, and I'm irresponsible and going nowhere in life. That's how it always was. Everything she did was excused. Everything I did was evidence that I was destined to screw up. If she aced a test, it was because she was hardworking and smart. If I aced a test, it was because I got lucky. She was the golden child, and I was the one dragging the family down. I always thought it was unfair, but I never expected her to take it to the level she did that night. It started normal. I was in my room on my old laptop, messing with some music downloads and half-assing homework. It was late, maybe past 11. Then my door flew open so hard it smacked the wall, and both my parents stormed in like I had just set off an alarm. My mom's face was red, Dad's veins popping in his forehead. And behind them, Lily, fake crying so hard she should have won an award for it. "He stole it! I saw him take it from Dad's wallet," she wailed, pointing right at me. "What?" I sat up straight, confused as hell. Dad was already stomping across the room, checking around like he's on some investigation show. Then he grabs my pillow, lifts it, and there it was, crumpled bills shoved under it. Maybe around $400 to $500. I swear my stomach dropped right through the floor. "I told you," Lily screeched, crocodile tears running down her cheeks. My brain couldn't even process. I hadn't touched his wallet. I hadn't even been near it. But before I could get words out, Dad was in my face, jabbing a finger at my chest. "You embarrassed this family for the last damn time. You think we didn't notice things missing before? You think we're stupid?" I stood up quick, shaking my head. "That's not mine. She planted it. She's lying. Why would I take money when I've been saving every dollar I get from babysitting and mowing lawns? Ask Mrs. Clark next door. "Enough!" he barked so loud it rattled my window. "A liar and a thief. You've made this house a joke." I looked at Mom for backup, but she didn't even look me in the eye. She repeated whatever Dad said. No questions. Like it was law. Meanwhile, Lily standing behind them, head bowed like some saint. But I caught the smirk, that little flicker of satisfaction on her face when Dad started ripping my room apart, shoving my stuff into a trash bag like I was some stray they were dumping. "Dad, please, it's not true," I shouted, my voice breaking. But it didn't matter. He yanked my backpack out of the corner, tossed it on the bed, and started filling it with random clothes. Mom started to say something, but one glare from Dad shut her up. Lily sniffled dramatically. "I'm scared to even share a house with him. He gets so angry. What if he hurt me?" That cut deeper than anything. I spun toward her, heart pounding. "What are you talking about? I've never laid a hand on you." But the damage was done. Dad's jaw clenched. "That's it. Out. Now." They shoved the bags into my arms, dragged me down the hallway while Lily trailed behind, whispering, "I told you they'd believe me." When we hit the front door, Dad yanked it open. The night air hit me like ice. I was barefoot, still in sweatpants and a t-shirt. Dad shoved me onto the porch so hard I stumbled. My sneakers were still by the door, so I grabbed them before he could slam it shut. "You don't come back here, not until you're ready to admit what you did and apologize to your sister," he said, voice low and final. "I didn't do anything," I shouted, my throat raw. "She's lying to you. She set me up." "Don't you dare talk about her like that," Dad snapped. "She's been nothing but good to this family. You're jealous, Stephanie, jealous and bitter." The door slammed shut, shaking the glass panes. For a second, I just stood there, trash bag slipping from my arms, waiting for it to swing open again, for someone to realize they'd just kicked out their own kid over some tears and planted cash. It never did. I sat down on the porch steps shivering, staring out at the quiet street. I wasn't just grounded. I wasn't just in trouble. I was out, exiled, 16 years old, standing outside my own house with nothing but a trash bag of clothes and a backpack, knowing my sister had won. She had their trust, their love, their blind loyalty. And me? I was disposable. I remember hugging that trash bag like it was some kind of lifeline, my chest so tight I could barely breathe. Part of me wanted to run back inside and pound on the door until they listened. Another part knew it wouldn't matter. They'd made their choice. And as I finally stepped off that porch and started walking into the night, one thought burned hotter than all the others. They'd rather believe her lies than my truth. And that's when I realized I wasn't just the black sheep. I was already cut out of the herd. That first night, I walked around the block until my legs hurt. I didn't even know where I was going. It was late, cold, and I was carrying a trash bag like some runaway. I thought about crashing in the park, but the benches were soaked from sprinklers. Then it hit me. Rachel lived a few blocks over. She'd been my best friend since middle school, so I figured maybe her family would let me stay a night. Her eyes went wide when she saw me standing there in sweatpants holding a trash bag. She let me in quick, whispered questions, and I told her they kicked me out. She didn't even look surprised, just sad. She gave me a blanket on the floor and some leftover pizza, and I slept harder than I had in weeks. Her mom wasn't as forgiving. The next morning, she pulled me aside. She wasn't cruel, just straight with me. "Stephanie, you can stay a couple nights, but I can't afford another mouth. You'll need to figure something out." I nodded, pretending it was fine, but my stomach twisted. By the third night, Rachel's mom drove me to school early and said I couldn't come back. That was it. I shoved my trash bag in my locker and pretended like I had somewhere else to be. From then on, I started couch hopping. A classmate let me crash on their sofa for a night. Another let me stay in their basement, but it was always just for tonight. People didn't want to deal with the drama of my family. After about a week, I ran out of options. That's when I started sleeping wherever I could. Behind the gas station, in the corner near the dumpsters where the light didn't reach. Sometimes in the library if I timed it right and hid until closing, but the security guard caught me after a couple nights and kicked me out. I tried the school bathroom once, locking myself in a stall, but someone came in, saw my bag, and word spread fast. The hunger was worse than the cold. I had maybe $40 saved from mowing lawns and babysitting. That money disappeared fast on cheap burgers and vending machine snacks. After that, I skipped meals or just filled up on water fountains. My stomach growled so loud in class, I'd get looks. School didn't make anything easier. Lily worked fast. By the end of the first week, everybody had heard the story. How I stole money from my dad. How I got kicked out. She made it sound like I was some junkie in training. Kids pulled their backpacks closer when I sat near them. Teachers gave me those long stares, the kind that said they'd already been warned about me. In math class, a girl moved her notebook when I sat down. "Sorry, I don't want my stuff stolen," she said under her breath, just loud enough for everyone to hear. The whole row snickered. I wanted to yell, but I knew it wouldn't matter. One day in the hallway, a guy from the basketball team, Marcus, shouldered me on purpose and said, "Watch your hands, thief." I shoved him back out of instinct, and for a second, I thought we were going to swing. A teacher broke it up, but I got the warning, not him. "One more incident, Stephanie, and you're suspended." Everywhere I went, it was the same. Lily shining, me sinking. She made sure to do it loud enough so everyone knew she was responsible with money, unlike some people. I swear she'd catch my eye across the cafeteria sometimes, give me this tiny smirk, then go right back to acting sweet in front of her friends. She was enjoying every second of it. By the second week, I was a ghost in my own school. Nobody wanted me around. I sat alone, ate alone when I even had food, and tried to act like I didn't care. But inside, it was eating me alive. Nights were the worst. I'd curl up with my bag, hoodie over my face, praying cops wouldn't hassle me or some drunk wouldn't wander by. The cold concrete made my back ache. My shoes stank from walking miles every day just to waste time. And all I could think was, my own family did this to me. Not strangers, not enemies, my sister. One night I tried to sneak into the library again. I thought if I hid better, maybe they wouldn't notice. I tucked myself behind a row of shelves, used my bag as a pillow. Around midnight, the guard's flashlight hit me right in the eyes. He shook his head. "You can't stay here, kid." He walked me out the side door like I was a trespasser. I didn't know where to go, and for the first time the thought hit me. Maybe this was exactly what they wanted. Maybe they didn't want me alive anymore. I ended up behind the gas station again, curled up near the dumpsters. I closed my eyes, but all I saw was Lily's smug little face, fake crying, while my parents shoved me out the door. She'd won, at least for now. I kept telling myself maybe somebody, anybody, would finally listen. Like maybe the adults at school weren't completely blind. Or maybe one of my relatives would actually have a backbone. I was wrong. It started with my dad finding me. I don't know how he knew where I was. Maybe Lily told him. Maybe he just drove around until he spotted me. I was sitting on a park bench with my hoodie pulled tight when his car headlights hit me. He pulled up so fast I thought he was about to run me over. "Get in the car," he barked, slamming the door behind him. I stayed planted on the bench. My stomach tightened, just hearing his voice. "Now," he snapped. I shook my head. "Not unless you're ready to admit Lily lied." His face twisted like I'd spit in it. "Don't you dare talk about your sister like that. She's been through enough because of you." "Through enough?" I shot back. "She planted the money, she framed me, and you just believed her." His jaw tightened. He stepped closer, pointing a finger at me like it was a weapon. "You're going to come home. You're going to admit what you did, and you're going to apologize. Or I'll call the police and tell them you've been stealing from stores, begging for money on the street. Do you understand me?" I gripped my bag tighter. "I'm not coming home just to be treated like garbage again. You can call whoever you want, but I'm not admitting to something I didn't do." For a second, I thought he was going to swing at me, his fists curled, his face red. But then he spun around, stormed back to the car, and peeled off, leaving me sitting there shaking. That was the moment it sank in. He didn't want the truth. He just wanted control. The next day at school, I tried the counselor. I figured, hey, maybe they'll believe me if I just lay it all out. I sat in that office with my heart pounding, told her everything, how Lily planted the money, how she bragged about it, how my parents threw me out. She listened, nodding with that blank look counselors have. When I finished, she sighed. "Stephanie, I understand you're under a lot of stress, but accusing your sister without evidence isn't going to help. Your parents already spoke to us. They're concerned about your behavior. They said you've been unstable." Unstable? That word hit harder than anything, like I was some ticking bomb instead of a kid sleeping behind gas stations. "I'm telling the truth," I said, voice shaking. She just shook her head. "Focus on your schoolwork. The best way to show your family you're trustworthy is through your actions." So basically, suck it up. That's what she meant. I tried one more angle. I called my aunt from a payphone outside the grocery store. She picked up cheerful until she heard my voice. The second I explained what happened, her tone shifted. "Stephanie, this isn't something I can get involved in. Your parents are doing what they think is best. Maybe if you just said sorry." I hung up before she could finish. My own blood didn't want to touch this mess. Everyone wanted the easy version of the story. Stephanie's a screw-up. Lily's perfect. Case closed. That night, I sat outside the gas station, back against the wall, sipping water I'd filled in the bathroom sink, just to feel something in my stomach. The neon sign buzzed overhead. Cars rolled in and out, and I was just sitting there, invisible. Then I heard the voice I hated most. "Wow, didn't think you'd last this long out here." I looked up, and there she was, Lily, holding a soda, casual as hell, like she was just strolling by to say hi. I glared. "Why are you here?" She smirked. "Curious, I guess. Wanted to see how long it would take before you came crawling back." My fists clenched. "Why are you doing this to me? You think you had it rough? Try being me. Mom and Dad never let me slip. Not once. Every grade, every chore, every little thing I did was compared to you. If I messed up, it was, 'Don't be like your sister.' That's all I ever heard." I frowned, but she kept going, her voice low and steady. "Now, for once, I don't have to be perfect. I don't have to prove anything. All I have to do is not screw up like you. And honestly, that's easy. I'm not giving that up." "You're sick," I muttered. Her grin widened. "What's really sick is how easy it was. Everyone already thought you were the screw-up. I just gave them proof." I wanted to scream, to shove her, something, but she leaned closer, her voice dropping. "And if you keep pushing it, if you keep running your mouth about me, I'll make up something even worse. And then you won't just be homeless. You'll be locked up." The way she said it, calm, confident, made my skin crawl. She wasn't bluffing. She was already plotting her next move. She walked off like she hadn't just threatened to nuke what little I had left. And sitting there in the glow of that gas station sign, it finally hit me. She wasn't just trying to make me look bad. She was out to erase me completely. That thought stuck in my head for days. Every time I tried to sleep behind the gas station or wandered around to burn daylight, it replayed in my head like an echo. Lily wasn't just happy I was gone. She wanted me erased, like I never existed. By the third week, I was sinking lower than I thought possible. My cash was gone. My phone was dead. and I hadn't had a real meal in 2 days. I carried that trash bag everywhere: school, bus stops, parking lots. It wasn't even closed anymore. It was like a sign around my neck: homeless loser. One night, I tried hiding in the school library again. I thought if I tucked myself deeper behind the shelves, maybe I'd get away with it. Around midnight, a flashlight beam hit me square in the face. Security grabbed my arm and marched me out. "I already told you can't sleep here, kid. Try this one more time and I'll report you. Then you'll be suspended," he said, shaking his head. It started pouring not long after. I walked miles, rain soaking through my hoodie, my shoes squishing with every step. My trash bag got so wet the plastic tore and half my clothes spilled onto the sidewalk. I scooped them up anyway, hugging the bag tight. Even though everything smelled like mildew, I ended up under the awning of a closed laundromat, my stomach cramped from hunger, the kind that made you lightheaded. That was my breaking point. I sat there shaking, thinking, maybe this is it. Maybe I'm just going to disappear out here and nobody's going to care. That's when Rachel showed up. She came jogging up with an umbrella, hair plastered to her forehead, out of breath like she'd been searching. "Stephanie, why didn't you answer your phone? I've been looking for you everywhere." "My phone's dead," I muttered. Truth was, I hadn't had a charger in weeks. She crouched down next to me, ignoring the puddles soaking her jeans. "You look awful." "Thanks," I said, trying to laugh, but my voice cracked. She shoved a crumpled envelope into my hand. "Here, take it." I frowned. "What is it?" "Just open it." Inside was maybe $60, mostly small bills. My throat tightened. "Rachel, I can't." "You can," she cut me off. "It's my allowance. I don't need it. You do." I couldn't even speak. I just nodded, clutching it like it was the most valuable thing in the world. She looked around, lowered her voice. "There's something else. Lily bragged at a party. I heard her. She told people she planted the money, that she set you up." My head snapped toward her. She admitted it. "Yeah, but nobody believed her. They thought she was showing off. Some even said, even if it was true, you probably deserved it." It was like getting kicked in the chest. Deserved it. That's what people thought of me. I stood up, pacing under the awning. "If I can get someone to back me up, they won't," Rachel said quietly. "She's too popular. Nobody wants to cross her. They all think you're already a lost cause." That silence between us said everything. It wasn't just my parents. Everyone had written me off. That night, I sat in that laundromat doorway with Rachel's cash in my pocket, dripping wet, clothes stinking, my stomach clawing at me. I stared at the street, and something inside me hardened. If nobody was going to stand up for me, then I'd have to do it myself. That evening, after cleaning up in a gas station bathroom, I shouldered my soggy trash bag and started walking. I wasn't nervous, I wasn't scared, I was just done. When I turned onto our street, my chest tightened. The house looked the same as always. White siding, flower pots on the porch, the place I grew up in, except now it wasn't mine anymore. I stood there for a long minute, rain dripping off my hood before I started up the driveway. I was going to walk through that door and force them to hear me, whether they liked it or not. My fist hit the door 3 times, loud enough that my knuckles stung. For a second, nothing. Then footsteps. The door creaked open, and there was Lily like she'd been waiting. Her eyebrows shot up, then curved into a smirk. "Well, look who crawled back," she said. I shoved past her before she could block me. My wet shoes squeaked on the hardwood. "I'm not here to stay. I'm here to talk." From the living room, my mom's voice rang out. "Stephanie!" A second later, she appeared, drying her hands on a dish towel. Dad followed, arms crossed, his face already red. "Out now!" "No," I said, chest heaving. "You're going to hear me this time. You've believed her lies long enough. Tonight, you're going to hear mine." Dad stepped forward, towering over me. "Watch your tone. You don't get to barge into this house." "And watch my tone?" I snapped, louder than I meant. "You threw me out with a trash bag because Lily cried and waved a couple bills around. You didn't even ask for my side. Not once." "Because we know you," Dad shot back, voice sharp. "You've always been reckless, Stephanie, always jealous." Dad's face tightened, but I kept going, heat rising in my chest. "Jealous? Let's talk about that. Remember when she copied my science project? Teacher called home and you punished me for making her cheat. She cried and you believed her. Always the same story. She's the angel. I'm the screw-up. Doesn't matter what actually happened." Dad's jaw clenched. For a split second, I saw something flicker in his eyes. He knew I was right. He knew it. But instead of admitting it, he doubled down. He stepped in close, the smell of aftershave and anger hitting me. Don't you stand here and disrespect your family. You've done nothing but drag this house down since you were a teenager. You want me to admit we favored her? Fine, we did. Because she earned it. She keeps her grades up, helps your mother, stays out of trouble. You can't even keep a roof over your head. The words hit harder than a punch. My fist curled, but I forced myself to stay upright. I can't keep a roof because you threw me out. Because she framed me and you believed her without a second thought. Behind him, Lily leaned against the wall, sipping from a glass of water like she was watching a TV show, smirk plastered across her face. I turned toward her. Go on. Swear right now you didn't plant that money. Look me in the eye and swear it. She tilted her head, lips twitching like she was holding back a laugh. Sure, I swear, she said, her tone dripping with sarcasm. I pointed at her, voice breaking. You hear that? You can't even take her seriously. She's lying to your faces, and you're still falling for it. Dad's face went red, his fists curling again. Then, out of nowhere, he snatched a glass off the table and hurled it at me. His aim was off, but it exploded against the wall right next to my head. Shards rained down, slicing my arm and cheek. Blood trickled down, but all he did was point at the door, his voice low and shaking with rage. Get out before I call the cops and tell them you broke in. You want to keep making scenes? Fine, you can do it from a jail cell. I steadied myself, breath ragged, my chest pounding. My throat burned, but I refused to let the tears show. You've made your choice, I said, voice low. You picked her. You always pick her. One day you're going to see her for what she is, and when that happens, don't come looking for me. The room went silent except for Lily's soft chuckle. Wow, she said under her breath, shaking her head. Drama much? I grabbed my bag off the floor, turned toward the door. Every step felt heavy, like I was dragging chains, but I didn't stop. At the doorway, I spun back once more, staring at all of them. My parents frozen, Lily smirking. You think I'm the problem? Fine. But when the truth blows up in your faces, remember this moment. Remember I warned you. Then I yanked the door open, stepped into the night, and slammed it shut behind me. The cool air slapped me in the face, mixing with the sting of the shallow cuts running down my arm. I walked fast, jaw tight, like maybe if I put enough distance between me and that house, I could breathe again. I made it halfway down the block before I heard the footsteps. Quick, uneven, like someone was jogging to catch up. Wait up, sis! I spun around, heart hammering, and there she was, Lily, jogging after me, calm as ever, her face glowing in the dim light from the street lamp. She was smiling like this was a game to her, like Dad hadn't just tried to smash me with a glass seconds earlier. As Lily stepped onto the sidewalk, I thought I heard the screen door creak behind her, but I was too focused on her smug grin to care. My stomach flipped. What do you want now? I barked, my voice harsher than I intended. She slowed to a walk, shoving her hands into her hoodie pocket, posture relaxed like she was out for a late stroll. Relax. I just wanted to see how far you'd actually take this. I glared at her, my fists curling tight even as my arms stung from the cuts. Farther than you think. I'm done letting you run the show. Her grin widened, her teeth catching in the glow of the streetlight. You still don't get it, do you? Nobody's ever going to believe you. You can scream, cry, bleed all over the sidewalk. It won't matter. To them, you'll always be the screw-up, and I'll always be the one they're proud of. Proud? I spat, shaking my head. You destroyed me. Destroyed you? She echoed, tilting her head like I'd said something funny. Then her voice dropped lower, crueler. I didn't destroy you. I just gave them proof of what they already believed. That was the smartest thing I've ever done. My stomach twisted, my chest tightened. Say it again, I demanded, stepping closer. She leaned in, her voice a whisper like she wanted to savor every word. I framed you. I planted the money. And I'd do it again. Watching you beg while I win, that's the best part. The words cut through me like a blade. I could practically hear the blood rushing in my ears, feel every drop running down my arm from where the glass shards had torn into me. And then another voice broke the silence. Excuse me. Both of us froze like statues. At the edge of the porch step stood Mom. Her face was pale, her arms crossed tight against her chest. She must have followed Lily out without either of us noticing. For once, her eyes weren't filled with anger at me. They were locked on Lily. What did you just say? Mom asked, her tone sharp, like she didn't even recognize the daughter in front of her. Lily stiffened, the smirk sliding right off her face. Mom, It was nothing. She's twisting it. Don't lie to me, Mom snapped, stepping down onto the walkway. Her voice shook, but her stare was deadly serious. I heard you. You admitted it. You said you planted the money. For the first time in weeks, I felt something crack open inside me. A tiny sliver of hope. My chest tightened, words tumbling out before I could stop them. You heard her, Mom. You finally heard her. Lily's mouth opened, then closed again. No excuses, no fake tears, no quick spin of the story. She was rattled. The screen door banged against the frame and Dad stormed onto the porch, his voice carrying down the yard. What's going on? Mom spun to face him, her hands shaking. She admitted it, James. She just admitted she framed Stephanie. Dad blinked, his face draining of color. His steps slowed as he reached the bottom of the porch, like maybe he wasn't sure he wanted to hear the answer. He turned to Lily, his jaw set. Is that true? Lily's lips trembled. She looked between me, Mom, and Dad, panic flickering in her eyes. Her hands fidgeted inside her hoodie pocket, nails scratching at the fabric. She opened her mouth like she might deny it again. But then her face twisted, and the words shot out like venom. So what if I did? I had to. You two always leaned on me to be the perfect one, the example. I couldn't risk her screwing that up, so I took care of it. I made sure she was the one you gave up on. Her voice cracked on the last words, but the damage was already done. The silence that followed was so heavy it made the air feel thick. Mom staggered back, her hand flying to her mouth. Oh my God. Tears spilled down her cheeks, her body shaking like she'd just been sucker punched. Dad's jaw tightened, his fists curling again. Not at me this time, but at her. His face was red, eyes hard, like he was staring at a stranger in his own house. You ruined your sister's life, Mom whispered, voice raw. You threw me out, I said, my throat burning. You believed her over me. You tossed me in the street with nothing because she cried and pointed her finger. And now you hear the truth, and it's too late. Lily crossed her arms, trying to mask the cracks in her voice with fake confidence. Don't act like you're some victim. You were always the mistake. I just made sure everyone else finally saw it. Her words hit like another glass shattering against my skin. I clenched my fists tighter, not because I wanted to hit her, but because every bone in my body wanted to stop myself from collapsing. The silence stretched. Mom sobbed openly. Dad just stared, gutted, like the ground had been ripped out from under him. And me? I stood there in the street, bleeding, exhausted, but finally vindicated. They knew the truth now. But it didn't change the fact that they'd chosen her over me when it mattered most. It was too late to fix the damage. The yard went dead silent after Lily's confession. Mom was frozen, tears running down her cheeks. Dad looked like someone had knocked the wind out of him. Lily tried to cross her arms and look tough, but her hands shook. For once, her little act didn't land. I stepped forward, dried streaks of blood on my arm where the glass shards cut me. My voice was raw but steady. You don't just get to stand here and act shocked. You ruined me. You tossed me out with nothing. Let the whole neighborhood think I was a thief because it was easier to believe her fake tears than your own daughter. You don't fix that with a couple words. You're going to fix it the right way. Dad's head snapped toward me like he couldn't believe I was still talking. Watch your tone. No, I said flatly. You don't get to tell me how to talk anymore. You lost that when you threw me out. If you want me to even think about stepping back in that house, you're going to clear my name publicly. Mom blinked through her tears. Publicly? I nodded. You're going to write a post on Facebook, on the church page, in the family group chat, I don't care where. You're going to tell everyone the truth. That I never stole, that you spoiled Lily and let her lies destroy me. You're going to admit it for everyone to see. Otherwise, I'll do it myself. And trust me, I'll include everything, including how Dad threw a glass at me tonight. Dad's face flushed red. We don't air family business online. I laughed bitterly. You already did when you threw me in the street with a trash bag. You let Lily's story run wild at school, at church, with neighbors. You were fine letting everyone whisper about me. Now you're going to be fine undoing it. Mom's sobs grew harder. She turned toward Dad, voice breaking. James, she's right. We did this. We let it happen. She waited for him to answer like she always did, but he stayed frozen, fists tight, no words coming out. For the first time, his silence wasn't protecting her. It was dragging her down with him. All my life, Mom had followed Dad's lead like it was gospel. Every punishment, every rule, every word he said, she repeated it. But tonight, his silence wasn't enough. He was losing control, and she knew it. Her hands shook as she pulled out her phone. If you won't say it, James, she whispered, then I will. Dad's glare shot through her like she'd betrayed him. But she didn't stop. Her thumbs hovered over the screen, trembling. Tell me what to write, she said to me. Lily's head jerked toward her. What? Mom, you can't. Quiet, Mom snapped, her voice suddenly sharp. You did this. You brought us here. I walked closer, heart pounding, and dictated slowly. We need to apologize publicly. Our daughter Stephanie was wrongly accused of stealing. The truth is, our daughter Lily framed her, and we believed her. We spoiled Lily, protected her, and let her lies destroy Stephanie's reputation. We failed as parents. And Stephanie deserves to be seen for who she really is, not the scapegoat we made her. Mom typed every word, her hands trembling. Dad stood stiff, face hard as stone. But he didn't stop her. She hit post. The words were out there. The damage couldn't be undone. Within minutes, her phone buzzed with notifications. Comments poured in from relatives, from church people, even neighbors. We didn't know. So sorry, Stephanie. Takes guts to admit this. Dad's face went pale as more and more piled up. His iron control was gone, and he knew it. Lily snapped. You just ruined my life, she screamed. Everyone's going to hate me now. Dad rounded on her, his voice low and dangerous. No, Lily, you ruined your own life. Her face crumpled for the first time. No smirk, no fake tears, just panic. I stood there bleeding and exhausted, but lighter than I'd felt in months. You wanted me gone, Lily. You wanted me erased. Now it's your mask that's erased. Everyone knows who you are. She glared at me, but her voice shook. You think they'll ever forgive you? You'll always be the one who caused drama. I stepped closer, eyes locked on hers. No, I'll be the one who survived it. You'll be the liar who got caught. Silence hung heavy, broken only by Mom's muffled sobs and the constant pinging of her phone. Dad looked 10 years older in that moment, and Lily, she finally looked small. I slung my bag over my shoulder and headed toward the porch. I'm taking back my bed. You're not doing me a favor. You owe me. You threw me out. Now you're going to feed me, give me a roof, and live with what you did. Nobody argued. Mom and Dad just stood there hollow. They didn't try to block me this time. Not after the confession. Not after the post went public. Not after their precious control slipped away. For once, nobody had the guts to stop me. Inside, the house felt foreign, like I was stepping into someone else's place. But I wasn't a guest. Not anymore. I'd forced the truth into the light. I'd taken back what they stole. As I set my trash bag down by the stairs, I turned to see them all standing there. Mom hollow-eyed, Dad grim, Lily seething. You wanted a perfect daughter so badly, you turned me into the villain, I said, voice low but steady. Tonight, you told the world the truth. Don't think that fixes it. But at least now everyone knows what kind of family you really are. And with that, I walked upstairs, each step heavy but steady. For the first time in weeks, I was going to sleep in a real bed, not because they let me, but because I demanded it. They'd thrown me away once. Now, I was the one who decided to stay.